This part of the podcast is a Q&A which I've sent to Jay prior to the podcast, and we've sent this out to his community and they've got some questions they want to ask you. So, you happy to run through it?
Let's get through them.
Let's go. So I'm going to keep them all anonymous. There was names on some, but I didn't know if they wanted to be named, so let's just keep them anonymous. So the first one is, do you have any advice for someone who battles anxiety daily to keep motivated and stay focused?
I feel like the best way to do that is routine. Having a set routine, that's what's worked for me and my anxiety. Setting out a plan on how I want my day to start, setting out some affirmations, and making sure I stick to that plan day in, day out. It's a daily battle. You got to take it one day at a time.
Yeah, no, I like that. Second one, which is pretty similar. So what we noticed was there's a few people that are going through the same thing, which probably makes you feel a bit less alone. And if you speak up about it, others can relate. So this one is, how can I resolve my anxiety and the bad thoughts running around my head? How can I control them?
So I like to control mine with meditation. I start every day with a 5-minute meditation. Doesn't have to be any longer than that. Setting out good intentions, noticing that voice when it comes in and not getting attached to it and what it says, focusing on the breath and letting the mind become clear.
I love that. Being aware of it.
Being aware of it,
Yeah,
exactly.
It's just a voice. Yeah, no, I love that. Got another one here. It's a bit of a compliment, actually. I really admire your mindset and focus and discipline. What have you implemented into your routine to get where you are now?
Hard work and discipline. It's got to be the main two. Understanding what I've got to do and doing it no matter how I feel. That's what's created this mindset.
Yeah. And I think people struggle with this because this is a conversation we'll have later about motivation. It's like motivation versus discipline. Motivation comes and goes.
Yep.
Discipline is, I feel shit, I'm anxious, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Becomes part of your personality.
Yeah. What do you think has moulded you into the person you are today? If you could say one thing.
The one thing that's moulded me into the person who I am today, it's got to be the death of my uncle. That's created the person who I am. That made me go down the route that I'm on now.
And what has been your biggest challenge in life, and what motivates you to keep going forward?
My biggest challenge was realising my own mental health, and that's become part of my message now and what I'm pushing. I understand it. It's something that you deal with daily. So it's a complicated question, but you find answers through your daily habits and what you start to do.
I mean, a lot of these are the same.
Yeah.
Which, as I said, you know, if you've answered the first one, a lot of them will apply going forward, so they will get a lot out of that. I am just going to go through them just so everyone feels like they've had the question answered. What advice would you give to someone who's struggling mentally?
Find out where you're struggling and why you're struggling. If you can pinpoint where your struggles are, that's when you start to build strength. You got to point out where you're struggling first.
Yeah, for sure, and that's just understanding yourself.
Yeah.
So this one is, I'm trying to stay positive, and it's hard sometimes. What do you do to overcome that negative, whether it's negative thoughts?
It's catching yourself when you start feeling negative. That's the key, or at least from my experience. Understanding that it's just a thought, and you can flip it. Start pointing out the positive things in life and in your day. and start showing gratitude towards that and being grateful.
I like that. Noticing it's just a thought.
Yeah.
That's another thing, like letting it go, let it pass.
Don't get attached to it.
Hold on to it. Yeah. What does a day in the life look like for you? Training and eating.
A day in the life. Well, it starts at 4:30 a.m. I have my set morning routine every single morning. I meditate, I have my supplements and a journal, and then I get ready for the gym. I get to the gym for 5:30. Workouts completed for 7. I get to work for 7:30. I work till 5 p.m. I come home, I set any CMOS deliveries that I need to do, or any education that I need to do. I get that done in a 2-hour window, and then I eat in between them times. Yeah, let's not forget that. It's a very structured routine that I do every single day, and I think that's what's put me in the position I am today. Just being strict with my routine. Yeah.
Shout out to CMOS.
Shout out to CMOS.
Is that all of them? There is one on here, but I feel like I'm going to ask it on the podcast. Because I don't think it's a one and done. It's more of, we're probably going to dive into it.
Okay.
So I hope you're happy with Jay's answered all your questions. We'll get into the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, click here to get the full episode. And don't forget to subscribe.